Welcome back to another episode of Believe in Dude, presented by Bet Online. I'm your host, Shelden Williams, and here's your co-host, Steve Wiseman. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, Shelden. We're both here on the left coast. This is the left coast edition.
Right.
Of the Believe in Dude
over here.
Yeah, West Coast representing because the Blue Devils got here today. I'm in San Francisco. You're in LA, but We're both here in California. The Blue Devils made it out to the West Coast today ahead of the Thursday game with Texas Tech at the Chase Center here in San Francisco, the new home of the Golden State Warriors, right? They're no longer across the bay in Oakland. I haven't been to the Chase Center. Have you been to this arena yet?
I have not, so you have to let me know how that is. I'm sure it's going to be spectacular. I mean, that's just how the Warriors do things.
Yeah, exactly.
But just moving across the other side of the bridge and everything, I'm sure it's going to be fancy. I just wish that it lined up where I was able to come out there myself and see it. But unfortunately, it doesn't, line up like that. And
yeah,
dad first, right? So
that's right. You got to take care of dad duties. That's most important.
Right.
So, but the Blue Devils took care of business last weekend in Greenville. We're going to get into that in a minute. Before we get going too far here, I want to remind everybody again. You mentioned that our podcast is presented by Bet Online, and it's the time of year as college basketball takes center stage with the tournament finally upon us. If you're looking to wager this year, Bet Online is the number one spot for all your updated odds and info, along with great contests, including the bracket contest, where you have a chance to take home the top prize. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, BELIEVE, to get started. Bet Online is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Bet Online, where the game starts. Yes, the Blue Devils, again, took care of their two games in Greenville last weekend. If everybody had them on their bracket, they got some wins on those. Took care of Cal State Fullerton. And then, a very impressive win over Michigan State. We saw a lot of things from the Blue Devils, those two games that maybe had been missing in some earlier games this year, right? Making big shots down the end, playing defense when it mattered late in the game, things they didn't do against Virginia Tech in the ACC title game, and obviously against Carolina in the last game of the regular season. So what was your takeaway from the weekend, Sheldon? What did you think from what you saw?
All right, so I'm going to talk about the Michigan State game. So it was to the point where, as a fan, I know how the games kind of, go with a lot of emotion and things like that. And then especially putting Coach K's last run on it, it's going to be even crazier. But it was stretches where I'm like, we have a good 4, 6, 7 point lead. We maintaining those things to get, keep that lead. And all of a sudden we showed being young. And all of a sudden they start coming back, and they're a great team. I mean, it's a Big Ten team. Big Ten had 9 teams in it, and the tournament this year. So yeah, they're a good team and everything. But the story to me, Jeremy Roach, that was the story to me. Like, the guy played really well. Actually, the last 2 games he's been playing really well. But then for him to get the nod to start again and taking advantage of having the starting spot and having Trevor Keels kind of come off the bench, it's been great to see that he's been able to be mature enough to actually stay focused and stay in his lane, and it didn't bother him that it came. Well, I'm sure it probably bothered him. Everybody want to start, but it didn't seem like it fazed him from going from starting to off the bench to back to starting to back to the bench, and now he's starting again. I think he was very much the head story of the game for me.
Yeah, he showed a lot of maturity the way he's handled that all season. And we talked to him about that, myself and the other reporters who were in Greenville coming into the Fullerton game, because he was getting back in the starting lineup there. And then in the in-between days before they went to Michigan State. And Coach K said that, the focus had been so much on defense, right? Defense, they'd been messing up the defense lately. And that they tried something with Trevor at the top, and he said it just wasn't working. So that's why they replaced it. Jeremy Roach is a little better defender than Trevor Keels, especially if you look at synergy and all the analytic stats and everything. He's clearly, Trevor's a pretty good defender, but Roach is a little bit above him. So that was the move they made. They played better defense against Fullerton. They really, took care of business that game. They jumped out that game and got, a pretty big lead early. Fullerton came back within 7, maybe 6, but they didn't really, it wasn't really game pressure. I mean, it wasn't like they got back and really got it tight. And then Duke took care of business in the second half. So yeah, you're right. You're totally right about Roach. And again, what I was talking about was the move was made for defense, but then that big 3-pointer he made at the end of the Michigan State game, it paid dividends on offense too.
It definitely did. I mean, especially when you have a young kid like that to have confidence and have that confidence back into him. That big shot right there was pretty much nothing to him. I mean, he was right in the flow of it. He wasn't thinking about it. It was in rhythm. And unfortunately, he came up big for us. And that was one of the biggest things. I'm like, oh, no, not that shot, not that shot. Oh, good shot. You know, that type thing. So
exactly.
I was very happy about that. Because I mean, like the way that game was going, I was like, it could go either way. But then like the last 5 minutes, we kind of hunkered down and played some good defense and was also scoring the basketball, which wound up making us kind of extend that lead. But up until that 5 minutes left in the game, I was like, man, this could go either way.
Yeah, because Duke was up 9, and then Michigan State got up 70-65. And then, you know, something else about Rush, not only his 3-point shooting, but his aggressive drives and finishes at the rim was really solid, really strong. I mean, he was,
I mean, he was very elusive. I mean, he was attacking that basket, and the way he was getting to it, it was almost like James Harden-esque, how he was getting past the defenders and getting to the, you know, the lane and getting to the basket. And I'm like, man, the way he's being aggressive and the way he's over here, you know, getting around guys, I was like, this is the guy we should have been seeing all along.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously he wasn't finishing as much as I would like him to finish, but he was still getting to the basket. So when you put that pressure on the defense and getting to the lane that deep, that opens up a lot of other things, whether it be mark for a lob or a weak side 3. It opens up a lot of things. So when you get into that deep of the defense, it's great for us. We just got to capitalize on, you know, putting that pressure on the defense like that.
Yeah. If you remember at the end of the first half, Coach K called timeout and set up a play. They had 17 seconds left, and it looked like they ran a horn set, and then Jeremy dribbled to his right, and Mark just kind of slipped, and he threw that lob to him, and they got that basket.
Right.
I mean, that was a big play, I thought. I mean,
right. I mean, like I said, it goes back to what I was saying. Like when you get that deep in the lane, it opens up a little bit more things that you haven't really seen, especially when it's that tight of a game. And when he's able to get into the paint, defenders got to collapse on that, and it's either oop, which we have a very athletic guy in Mark.
Yeah.
We have, you know, good shooters with Wendell and Trevor Kills being in the wings. I mean, the corner spots. Yeah. And I mean, it was great to see. I mean, unfortunately, especially AJ, I hope he's back. I know he got hurt. It kind of like took a little bit of wind out of ourselves a little bit, but like, please just don't let it be anything serious, because, you know, this kid has been coming, he's been overcoming a lot of adversities, especially from high school to the start of Duke, and then getting into the lineup, and he really found himself. And then I'm like, oh, just let him be able to get through this and play through this, because the kid been playing well all year, and what he's overcome, I'm like, just hopefully it doesn't deter him and it pays off, you know, towards the end of the season.
Yeah, everything I've heard is he's going to be okay. You know, I know Jose Fonseca, you know, the trainer had retaped his ankle, and he was over there running behind the bench, like trying to get it stretched out a little bit. And then he got back on the bench and was able, you know, looked like he was ready to come back in, but the team was playing really well. So Coach K didn't make any subs, which he shouldn't. But I was like you when he got hurt and they had to bring Keels back in. I thought, this is like not what they planned to do. You know, they'd planned for Roche to be in for Keels, and who knows what's going to happen. And come to find out, as it turned out, Keels made that 3-pointer to tie it at 72. So he had a big shot too. And he hasn't shot, let's face it,
he hasn't shot well in a while. And for him to hit that big shot at that time, I was like, okay, maybe this is what gets him going for next game. So I'm hoping that against a pesky Texas Tech team, he's able to actually, you know, get that confidence back into shooting the ball as well as we know he can shoot. So hopefully that's the case. Yeah,
because he's shown it a couple of times this year, and we've talked about it before. The Kentucky game, he had 25 points. He had that game at Clemson where he had 27. So it's in there. He just doesn't consistently do it. But
Pittsburgh game as well.
Yeah, Pitt game too. That's right. Yeah. So but that was a huge shot in the game to tie it at 72. And then then Roach made the other shot. And then, but I also liked it. We're going to keep talking about this Michigan State game. It was such a big win that the defense in the last 2 minutes, when Mark got that block and retained it, and then Banchero got a block shot, and then about a minute to go, Wendell stole the ball out front, which pretty much sealed the game. And then, of course, they made 5 out of 6 free throws in the last minute, which helped too. But I really liked that they won it with the defense. I mean, I know they did good things on offense, but they got those stops to really stretch that out and make it a 9-point win.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, if AJ didn't get hurt, we would have had, 6 guys in double figures points and everything, which is pretty amazing. Where we had I think it was Wendell and Jeremy had 50 points
15
each,
yep,
and then 12 off the bench for kills,
yep,
and then Paulo doing his thing, and Mark too.
Mark had 15. They had 3 guys with 15.
Yeah, 3 guys with 15 and everything, and then just AJ with 7. We know that he would have got at least 81 points if he was actually able to play and everything. But for us to have that even scoring like that, having 6 guys being a double figure points, I think that would be great for us. I'm hoping that that's the case that we take into the next round and with a healthy team as well.
Yeah, and speaking of Paulo, we haven't talked about him yet, but I liked how he attacked. Joey Hauser was guarding him from Michigan State, and in the second half, that's a matchup Paulo's got to dominate, right? I mean, Hauser's a good shooter, but he's not a great defender, and Paulo's a better athlete and a better, he's going to be a pro, right? And
yeah, definitely.
He took advantage of it and drove to the basket. I really like that. Yeah, we haven't seen that a lot. I hope to see more of that from him.
And that's what I was saying earlier too. I'm like, this kid, he has a lot of different tools. Just don't settle on the mid-range jump shot or the 3-point shot. Like, you have a chance to, all right, yes, if my shot's not going, you have a chance to dominate anybody that holds you in that mid-range, the mid-post area, where you can back anybody down, spin off them, or even face them up and kind of take them off the dribble. He has that in his package. I wish he would do a lot more of that, just because he's such a matchup problem for a lot of teams. I think he bails teams out sometimes where he just kind of be focused on his jump shooting and not attacking the rim like he should. And that kind of goes back to actually figuring things out. I know he's still younger and everything, so he kind of figured his way to be who he's going to become later on. But hopefully that's the case where he's going against a pesky Texas Tech team where he's going to have to be able to take advantage of that if they do, play him. I mean, I'm not sure if they can be foolish enough to play him, one-on-one. I'm sure they're going to have somebody kind of help him out with that double team. But if they're foolish enough to have him as a one-on-one, he has to take control of that, because once he does that, the defense collapses, and then you have Jeremy Roach, Trevor Kills, Wendell Moore out there on the 3-point line, AJ Griffin out there on the 3-point line, ready to line it up, and opens up a lot more. Then all of a sudden, Mark comes in play where he getting lobs, and it's a good game. It's a good game.
That's it. That's a good plan. And we are going to break down the Texas Tech game. I guess they're the #1 defensive team in the country, and the Ken Pom efficiency thing, defensive efficiency. So this is going to be a tough test for sure. But one last thing from Sunday, from the weekend in Greenville, was the emotions that Coach K showed on the bench at the end of the game. His career goes, it was, they were looking at, they were going to lose. They're down 5 with 5 minutes to go. His career was almost over, right? And he really showed emotion. And then at the podium, also in the press conference, he was talking about the togetherness the team showed and the fight. And, I know the staff they've been trying so hard to get that out of this team this year. And he had to catch himself. He kind of got, choking up at how proud he was of that group. So what a moment.
Yeah, I did see that. I didn't see it live. I kind of saw it on a YouTube clip and everything.
Yeah.
And just how he was over so thankful and also proud of how the young kids pretty much just fought through that type of adversity to allow them to play another game. And you could see it where he went down the line of each player, how he's how he's proud of them, what they did and things like that.
Yeah.
It's not like he doesn't do that a lot. He does congratulate and praise players, but for him in that moment, you can see it was more. It was more.
Definitely. Because again, the end was near. It was right there if they didn't rally, and they did it. So, okay, we are going to break down the Sweet 16 game, the West Regional semifinal, Duke 2 seed, Texas Tech 3 seed. Before we do that, we want to hear from our new sponsor this week, Athletic Greens. They've been a sponsor of us in the past. They're back this week here. Sheldon's going to tell us all about Athletic Greens.
Yes, tons of people make multivitamins, but it's important to choose that there is a top quality. With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics to start your day right. They have a special blend of ingredients to support gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's also a lifestyle friendly and fits a wide range of diets. There's only 1 gram of sugar and no chemicals or artificial anything. Reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/believe. That's BLEAB. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/believe. All right.
Sorry, I was muted there. Thanks to Athletic Greens for sponsoring us again this week on the Believe in Duke pod. Yeah, so now it's time to, Duke's going to have all their energy and all their focus. They're at their nutrition at the highest level here to play this Texas Tech team, because they are very strong defensively. I think the average age of their starters is 22, where Duke is average age 19. Again, Duke's always the younger team, right? And that they're always freshman dominated, but this is where the grit they showed last Sunday is going to have to come through. Michigan State was an older team too. So I watched a little bit of Texas Tech after Duke's game ended. They played Notre Dame, and I was watching to see who Duke was going to play. And I caught about the last 5 minutes of that game. And Notre Dame had the lead, and Texas Tech just shut them down and won the game in the last 5 minutes, kind of like what Duke did at Michigan State, honestly. So it's going to be a serious battle here against an older team. And again, it's just, let's see if they can repeat that toughness, right? That's really going to be the key this week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the biggest things was going into this tournament, I knew that teams that are more veteran, seasoned teams, whether it be a mid-major, lower D1 schools, I mean, they're a problem because they know how to play with each other through every type of adversity game that they've been through in their whole career. As you said, there's 22 years old of Texas Tech, and we're a younger team. So my only thing is I'm hoping that with our team, we can continue to start, keep that building blocks going with us, because any type of mistake that we make, they're going to capitalize on that just because they are a veteran team. We're just hoping that we're hitting that game so we can kind of, overcome some mistakes, because there are going to be mistakes for us, because like we're a young team regardless. But hopefully that we actually be able to hit some shots and get into the basket, because we are going to be able to keep that same rhythm against a really good defensive team in Texas Tech.
Right. Now, one thing, and we'll talk about their defense in a minute. They play mostly man-to-man. They have a press defense they use to speed teams up, and then they fall back into man-to-man. I think on synergy, they play man-to-man like 95% of the time in half court. They play man-to-man, so they just get up and get in your face. But one thing advantage Duke is going to have is in the height area. Texas Tech doesn't have a guy on their roster taller than 6'8". Well, they have a 6'11" freshman who doesn't play, but of the guys that play a lot, they're Bryson Williams is 6'8", Kevin Obenar is 6'8". Those are both seniors. Davian Warren's a senior, he's 6'6". Santos Silva is 6'7", 250. I mean, he's he'll bring it in the middle lane, but Duke's going to have an advantage there with Mark Williams at 7'1", Paulo at 6'10", that they're going to have to take advantage of that. I think that's an area where Duke can thrive maybe.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Especially if Mark is flying around everywhere, that's gonna be tough to actually stop. Whether you're stronger than Mark and shorter than Mark, if Mark is very active and flying around, it's hard to keep a body on somebody like that, whether you're stronger or not. So I'm hoping that's the case. And then also, Paulo, he's strong too. He's 6'10". He's able to be that physical guy too. And we have Theo come off the bench as well. So we have our own girth of players, if you will. But literally, if we have those guys just doing what they've been doing all along, I think we're fine. We just got to be consistent on offense end, so we're not able to fall deep into any kind of holes. Because one of the bad things about us is being a younger team. It's harder to fight through adversity when you put yourself in a hole early on versus going back and forth in the game and trying to figure your rhythm and keeping up with that rhythm throughout the game.
Yeah, and they're also again the reason why they're so good defensively is that they're very physical. They're going to get up right, in Duke's grill. They're going to try to bully them a little bit, and we've heard many times this year, like Mike Bray. I remember when Duke came in there, he was like, Duke's bodies they're big and strong, and they're even though they're young, they're built like men, right? So I don't think Duke will be intimidated by that. They shouldn't be. But again, people that have watched Texas Tech a lot, I heard Bob Huggins, the West Virginia coach, who's played Texas Tech, numerous times because they're in the same conference now. Just talked about how, Duke's going to be guarded like they haven't been guarded all season, probably by this Texas Tech team. They're really going to be hard. So I think it's more of a mindset, right? That to be strong with the ball and run your offense and not get flustered if you get down within the last 10 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah, I agree. At this point, it's a Sweet 16. Everybody's here for a reason. That's just what it is. Whether you think this team wasn't going to make it this far at the beginning of the tournament, it doesn't matter. At this point, everybody is here for a reason. They deserve to be here. So whether they focus on themselves or focus on another team, you still got to play your game and they got to play their game. So I know they're a veteran team. I know they're a physical team. I know they want to actually, speed the game up. But also, we're a good team too. We have guys that can really attack the defense. We have guys that actually can fly around and be the athletic interior presence for us. We have guys that can be mismatch problems too. So it's going to be interesting to see how, the game of chess between two coaches kind of go and how the game plan kind of changes throughout the game. But it's going to be, I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be a very good test just because the defense is something that we haven't seen throughout the whole course of the game. We've seen bits and pieces of different teams, but throughout the whole course of the game, it's going to be very interesting to see how we react and continue to react to any type of mistakes or adversities throughout that game.
Right. That's what's got to happen. If something happens and Texas Tech forces a 30-second shot clock violation or whatever, Duke's just got to shake that off and move on and try it again. You can't get frustrated by that. You can't let it like snowball on you, right? And let them get on a run and go 5 or 6 or 7 minutes without scoring. It's
right.
That'll doom you in this thing. One thing about the bracket, as we talk about the whole tournament here, the only region where the top 4 seeds advance to the Sweet 16 is the West region. So Duke's got the toughest, the Gonzaga's playing Arkansas the first game Thursday, and then Duke and Texas Tech to follow, the 2 and the 3. So it's 1-4, 2-3, and we're going to have high seeds in the regional final out here in San Francisco. Other brackets, we've seen upsets. Baylor got knocked out by Carolina, so 3 ACC teams in the Sweet 16. So
yeah, well, speaking of that game, Carolina tried to give that game up. I was like, man, what are y'all doing? I was like, what are y'all doing? I don't understand what's going on. But Baylor, shout out to Baylor because they were a very pesky team towards the end. They didn't play well most of the game, but you see why they were number 1 just because, Carolina did give them some help too, but they were pesky down the end and wound up taking it to it was down 25, wound up taking it to overtime.
They were down 25 with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
How about that?
Exactly, right? So I was like, dang, is Manic really that vital to UNC for them to go down like that? I was like, I wasn't sure what was going on, but we kind of Bit off topic right now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We talk ACC. I mean, Miami was in Greenville where I was, but they played Auburn after Duke beat Michigan State, and it's really handled Auburn. I mean, again, we talked about Miami's guards, right?
I had that game. I called for Miami to win that game too. I was like, it's something about this team, especially I can't remember the kid's name.
McGusty, Charlie Moore. McGusty.
I think it's
Cam McGusty. Yeah.
I was like, it's something about this kid that he's going to be an issue in the tournament. And
yes,
sure enough, I'm like, they beat Auburn with no ease. I mean, it was like Auburn is a team that everybody said it's going to be a great team and things like that. And I get it.
Yeah.
Every team has to play one game tournaments because if you have one bad game, that's it. And that's a sad part. You don't have anything to kind of redo yourself. That's the sad part about it.
Right. I mean, they were the number one team in the country just a few weeks ago. And then they lost a couple of SEC games and here you go. They're done. They're looking at spring football over at Auburn. So the rest of us still playing basketball. Again, thanks to all our listeners for listening to Believe in Duke Pod every week. We appreciate you. This has been a great season, and we hope to be having another episode after this weekend talking about the Final Four. If Duke can get past Texas Tech, they've already beat Gonzaga, but you got to do it again when it matters most. But we'll see what happens.
Right. I mean, it's a different time, but we have beat them on the West Coast at that as well too. So, but it's always going to be a different thing. So we can't jump ahead. But we got a really good team. We're playing against with Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And get over that, and then we can look over to the next game, to the Final Four. But hopefully, it's not our last week of podcast.
Yes. And hopefully, it's not the last week of Coach K's career, right?
Exactly. So hopefully, everybody continues to enjoy the tournament and continue to enjoy Duke advancing as well.
Right.
And then hopefully, it's a good weekend.
That's right. Absolutely. Out here on the West Coast, I'll be here all weekend. As long as Duke's alive, I'll be staying here in San Francisco. So anyway, well, listen, thanks, Shelden. It's been a great episode again. I'm Steve Wiseman from the Raleigh News and Observer with Shelden Williams. That has been the Believe in Duke Pod Sweet 16 edition. We'll talk to you again, everybody. Thanks a lot.